Tony. I'm Mike, and we are here to watch World Burn, episode 38.
Wow.
I think it's been a while.
38.
I mean, it's quite a few. We
Yeah.
used to do this at a much greater clip. For a while there, we were doing them like one a week, but that's too much fucking work. So we don't do that shit no more. We give you quick and dirties instead.
We like free evenings.
So this is One False Move, 1992 American crime drama, directed by Carl Franklin, who also did Devil in the Blue Dress with Denzel Washington. High Crimes, which I think also has Denzel, or may have the guy that everyone wants to narrate their life,
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you that Andy fought the good fight and the sisters let him be. But prison is no fairy tale world.
I think it's in that one. It doesn't matter. So this is written by Billy Bob Thornton and Tim Epperson. The film stars Billy Bob Thornton as Ray Malcolm. One of my personal favorites. I do believe one of yours too. Bill Paxton as Dale Hurricane Dixon. Cinda Williams as Fantasia / Lila, I think is her name. Then we have Michael Beach as Pluto. And then our two supporting guys, we got Earl Bennings as McFeely and Jim Melzinger as Dud. Dud Cole.
Yep.
So, American crime drama. It's a very low budget film, and it comes across very low budget for me. So this was supposed to be direct-to-TV production.
This complicated thriller was going to be sold directly into home video until it was widely praised by film critics.
But somebody saw it and apparently thought it was going to have to put in a theater.
Yeah.
I disagree with that decision. I think this movie is boring as fuck. I was totally bored with this movie. The best parts were the parts with Bill Paxton at the first half of it.
Howdy, Dale Dixon. Welcome to Star City, boys.
When he is acting like your typical Bill Paxton character.
Are we going to grind through the plot on this one? Or
Huh?
I thought we're already into the opinion segment of this one. It's not a quick and dirty.
This sure is not a quick and dirty.
We got some plot to cover here. So
we do. So, all right. So to go ahead and tear into the plot, then I'll tear this thing into pieces.
All right. Well, here's the thing. This is a product of its time, and that's kind of first and foremost on this one. And the other thing is that this is before Billy Bob Thornton became famous. This
Yes.
was him really showing off his writing and acting chops.
All right, everybody get on the goddamn floor and be quiet, all right?
And this was,
No,
I was gonna say this.
no.
Wait.
His acting chops wasn't quite there yet. His writing wasn't quite there yet. It's a semi-good first attempt.
I would say that it's a solid first attempt. It shows promise.
I don't know, Ray.
I said, where does he live, god damn it?
That's kind of where it comes. And here's the thing. It doesn't fire on all 8 cylinders,
No.
but it does fire on 6. And I want to get into that one in a
ahead,
second.
go ahead.
But
All right.
it starts off and it's two basically scummy lowlifes that decide that they're going to rob a drug dealer's birthday party.
Jackie don't know where Marco stay, man. I deal with him, she don't. Just leave her alone and I'll tell you.
And they wind up, committing the robbery and then committing several homicides. They kill everybody that was actually at the party. Fantasia finds a child at the party and just basically tells Ray, hey, I didn't find the kid. There's no one here. And they go on the run. And it is most definitely kind of a cat and mouse sort of thing, but the LAPD is trying to solve the crime. They're making the assumption that the criminals are on the run, and they decide to send a couple of detectives to Lila's hometown to see if she's going to show back up.
It sounds like she said, I thought you were going to what?
It sounds like she's saying, I thought you were going to Star City.
Turns out she has a child that she left with her mother and brother to raise while she went out to Los Angeles to become a big movie star. Her dreams fell apart, but there's a lot of revelations that I don't want to spoil, but they are actually on their way to Star City.
We're gonna spoil them.
Okay, he's going to spoil them. They are on their way to Star City, not by choice, by chance, because Lila was basically trying to see her child because they know that, because the numbers of murders that were committed, that they're going to go on the run. They did steal money, they did steal cocaine, and they're supposed to divvy that, but they get ripped off in one deal.
Look, I know you guys are on the run, and you need everything you can get. It's better than nothing, right?
And Fantasia disappears with the money on the second part of it. And as it's revealed throughout the course of the film, Hurricane and Lila have a prior relationship, even though
Bill Paxton's character,
Yeah.
who's a local cop in Star City, I guess.
Yeah.
So the big city police call him, and he's all pumped up to meet these people, these big time cops, and help them out. And he's trying to make an impression on. And this is where Bill Paxton shines,
Yes.
is in characters like this.
She just call you Hurricane?
Yes, folks call me that, never have figured out why. I figure we can wait up in the woods. When the bad folks show up, don't put the stopper in the bottle like that.
Yes, he does really well here.
Yeah.
And then eventually, Lila makes contact with Bill Paxton. Shenanigans ensue, and in the end, spoilers. In the end, everybody fucking dies.
almost everybody. It's left up to
No, everybody
basically
dies.
No.
All
Bill
the main
Paxton.
characters
Bill
die.
Paxton is.
Yeah, just come sit with me here. Yeah, okay.
He actually
dead.
is talking to the little
Lila's
boy, and then it
dead.
snaps to
Billy
black.
Bob Thornton's dead.
Pluto's
dead.
Yeah.
So all the main players are dead.
Yes.
And so the other part of this is that there's this big reveal that Lila's child is Bill Paxton's
Yes.
kid.
This is our baby's birthday cake.
But Bill Paxton's already got another family going on here and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Well, he had a family before that child was conceived. He had arrested her. There's a bit of dialogue. There's an exchange between them. He had arrested her for stealing makeup at the cosmetics counter, and he decided to take her under his wing and kind of help her out of a difficult situation. And apparently, he helped her out of her panties as well.
Yeah.
And
there's pornos that start like that.
Sort of high-spirited. So I decided to try to help her out, talk to her. Then one day she just up and disappeared. Somebody said she'd decided to take off for Hollywood, become a movie star.
yeah. You can Google that shit on your own. Anyway, it's a crime drama, but it's not an over-the-top crime drama. It's not a crime drama like Quentin Tarantino does crime dramas, because he amps everything up to 11 on his, and this is a bit more of a character study of who these people are and the difference between big town cops and small town cops and how they're dealing with crime and the people that they have to police and the relationships that all these people have. And that's kind of the part of this that I think it lands on. I think that the two city cops that are there and they're taking, his hospitality and they're staying at his house and having dinner and the barbecue and all that while they're talking about the case, and they're listening to this hick, essentially go on and on about how they show up here, and, we'll show them some good old-fashioned, Texarkana justice, or Star City justice, actually.
It don't mean nothing. What I'm concerned about is that we left ourselves so goddamn exposed, so just out there.
Oh, hell. Anybody could tell that old man wasn't
You
up to
can't
anything.
assume anything.
Assume?
You can't assume anything about anybody in a case like this. That's the guy that's gonna fuck you.
Ironically, the city cops get it wrong. And they wind up basically chasing their tail because they're trying to have the child tell them, where's your mom staying at? We need to go there and find it.
Is that the road, Byron?
I don't think so.
Dale, because he knows the town and he knows the people and he knows Lila, actually figures out where she's staying, and he goes and cases the place. And when Ray and Bluto show up, he basically says, you know what, I'm going to let you go because everything else, I just want Ray and Bluto, and shit goes really bad, and yes, everyone does wind up dead. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, there's a sincerity to this. There's a genuineness to it. I'm not saying that it was directed as well as it could have been.
Because these people are fucking dumb. Every one of these characters are fucking idiots. Especially this character Bluto. They say he's this criminal genius. He's got this high intelligence. He's got a college degree and all stuff. Every decision this guy makes is wrong.
Ray, I'm going to Star City. The only reason why I got involved in this shit, because you promised me we'd get some money that I could go home and see my people.
Yeah, well, that's before all this shit happened, wasn't it?
I think it's a good idea. If she goes ahead of us, it'll be safer to travel. We won't fit the description so easily.
It's just flat out wrong and stupid. And then Billy Bob's character is kind of dumb. Lila is not an intelligent woman by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I think that's by design, to be honest.
And while I like Bill Paxton's character, I didn't like the twist that was his kid. I think it was kind of unnecessary and didn't need to be in there. It didn't add anything to it. Didn't add any stakes. Because everybody dies at the end anyway, so that kid's still left with no parents and no dad and no nothing. So what changed? You know, what
See now,
having that in there, what did that really affect?
And you think Bill Paxton died at the end of this film?
Absolutely.
I have watched this film since the 90s. I'm just going to say I always assumed that Bill Paxton's character lived at the end.
Are you dead, mister?
No, not quite.
Where's the lady at?
She's over there. Don't go away. Come back. Come back here and stay with me.
He tries to run over to his mom, and Bill Paxton, says, "Hey, come here. Tell me your name. And are you hurt? Yes, I'm hurt." And he has called his buddies. They know that he's there. They know that he's wounded. They're on their way to get him. So I always assumed that he did live, number one. And I always assumed, number two, that, yeah, it's obviously going to come to light after the credits have rolled that Bill Paxton is the father of the child, that, in this very segregated town in Star City where, they basically call it that, the blacks live on this side of the town and the whites live on this side of the town. And yet when the two cops from LA come, one is a black guy, one is a white guy, and they work together and da-da-da. I think that's kind of the point. One of the big themes of all this is that,
Well, black and white people working together in the whole entire film.
Yes.
Even the criminals are black and white.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so they're bringing all this to light, that, there's a black cop and a white cop or do the same job, do the same thing, a black criminal and a white criminal, same sort of thing. Fantasia, ironically, is mixed. She has a white father and a black mother. And so I think that theme right there is thrown out there. And again, it's received very differently in 1992 when it was done. And Billy Bob Thornton doesn't make any bones about it. When he went on to do Monsters Ball, his love interest in that was Halle Berry. So he knows where he's from. He knows the environment that he was raised in and the towns that he's familiar with. And he plays with that theme, the racism of the South, quite a bit. So I've always thought that was one of the more interesting parts of the film.
Didn't really affect me.
Again, it's going to land differently today than it did back then. So, and I will say this.
I mean, even back then, there's already buddy cops and black people, white people work together. I mean, you had Lethal Weapon, several years even before this.
Sure,
there's always 48 Hours even before that. So, I mean,
weirdly, you bring those two movies up, and I'm thinking, yeah, but they didn't really deal with any racial issues in Lethal Weapon, and they didn't deal with any racial issues. They dealt with
fuck they did in 48 Hours.
In 48 Hours, he was
Holy
a cop.
shit.
He was a cop, and he was a convict, and there was more there. Now there were references to it.
It was all racial. There were so many racial things in there because they go into the hillbilly bar.
The hillbilly bar. Yeah,
they're gonna love you there. And then he, what's his name's gonna go to the all black bar. I mean, there's a lot more racial
I'm not
things
saying
that
it's
are
not
involved
there.
in
I'm
48
saying
Hours
that it's,
than there is in this fucking thing.
I'm just going to say, in 48 Hours, it's played for laughs. In this one, it's kind of addressing the issue. So it's handled differently. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm saying that they're dealing with a different aspect of it.
But it's like so under the surface. It's like, I mean, it's yes and no. I mean, some of it's like right there on the surface because, you know, where they had their talk about, you know, oh, you probably, you know, talking to Bill Paxton, oh, you probably picked me because I have, you know, soft features and stuff like a white person, this and that, la 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 la.
Yeah.
But that's why I kind of look white. Because my daddy was white. And I guess you figured since I kind of look white, you can fuck me, what the hell? Because I was kind of black. Maybe you dump me, what the hell?
But it doesn't really add anything to the story for me. Them having a child together doesn't really add anything. Just them being, you know, an item at one time really was enough for me. For me, that alone was plenty. If they just would have played into that more, where maybe she was more like kind of like the one that got away type of a scenario, where really kind of for him it was more like, yeah, I banged you, had a kid.
Well, she was also...
It's not mine, because he's kind of like, it's not mine. So I don't know.
She was also 17 at the time. They actually do state that she was 17 when her and Hurricane met. So
fine. So you got some stuff that's, you know, frowned upon a little more now than it was back then. You know?
I'm just saying.
If you're in Winger, 17 was okay. It's not anymore, obviously. It really wasn't back. It wasn't okay back then either. But still, at the same time, it's like, I don't know. These are tropes that didn't need to be in there. It didn't add anything to it for me at all whatsoever. This is very. It comes across to me exactly as what it is. It's a made-for-TV movie that got lucky and ended up on the big screen when it shouldn't have. It does not belong on the big screen. Is it a decent first effort? Yeah, it's a decent first effort. It's not cinematic quality effort, but, you know, for first time, you know, maybe writing a film and starring in it, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not awful, but it's not something I'm going to recommend at all.
I was going to say...
Because there's not enough here to merit it being good for me. I've seen better episodes of like Miami Vice. You know, so do with that what you will. There's better TV stuff out there than this as a cinematic quality movie.
See, I'm going to disagree with Mike, but I'm just going to say that for me, this is a bit more reality-based and a bit more nuanced.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just curious because...
Well, you're saying there's nuance. There's no nuance.
To me, this is understated. It's not trying to throw a flag up and go, look, but it's there. There's subtext there. There's also, you know, the relationship with Ray and Fantasia, and you know, when you're dealing with the nuance, in Los Angeles, she's known as Fantasia. When she gets back to Star City, where she's from, she's always addressed as Lila. No one actually knows her as Fantasia, where she's from.
There's people that know me as Dino and have no idea that my name is actually Mike.
So, well, I get that.
There's people that for years. So, I mean, that's not nuance.
No. I'm just saying that there was that attempt to shed her small town upbringing when she went to LA, and then she just got sucked into the wrong crowd on that one. See, you didn't enjoy the film. I'm just going to throw that one out there for you. And I will say that Billy Bob Thornton did go on to do Sling Blade after this, which is a phenomenal film. And I think, honestly, with Billy Bob Thornton, like a lot of actors that have like a real thick Southern drawl, they almost always wind up playing the hick or the hillbilly or this or that. Because Billy Bob Thornton writes his own material, he always brings a complexity to his characters. Now, I'm not saying that One False Move is like the pinnacle of that, but he was trying to basically show off that, yeah, they can be scummy, shitty people. They're not always the honest, hardworking, trustworthy, salt of the earth. Sometimes they're just as scummy as the city criminals that, you know, are ripping people off and shooting people as well. So that's the nuance that I'm getting at, is that they're trying to basically erase the lines between big city and, you know, little town America being so different, because this film is all about how they're really not. That's kind of one of the themes that I actually really appreciated.
To me, it's small-time criminals doing small-time criminal things because they come from small towns.
Well, they also go to Texas and they get ripped off. There's the attempt to be ripped off.
Exactly.
Which results in them killing everybody that was there.
And really, I think my problem is this, is I couldn't really relate to any of the characters, and I couldn't feel any sympathy for any of the characters, and they're just so dumb that...
You're not wrong.
That's really what ruined this movie for me more than anything. It's just the characters, the way they portrayed and the way they were written. It's like I can't get behind anything that's on the screen because it just no, they're just
no. I see now. I get exactly what you're saying on that one, and you're right. They are all portrayed as not being particularly bright, or thinking shit through, or being overly emotional and reacting to shit instead of thinking about it and going, how do we solve this issue? You know, when you see a Quentin Tarantino film, you have like the genius and you know, Ocean's 11. Oh, we've got this mastermind crew and they're all savants and they can all do this shit. This actually shows that a lot of criminals are just genuinely fucking stupid and they have no impulse control.
But they go well out of their way in exposition to say that this Pluto guy, that he is a genius. He's got the IQ scores for it, and that he's a college-educated man, that he's supposed to be the smart criminal genius. But nothing that he does is smart in this movie.
Well, the first
if they would have gave some hint that he could actually outsmart people and make smart decisions, then he actually would have been kind of a compelling character. Because then you have something for Billy Bob Thornton to bounce off of.
Yeah.
Because Billy Bob's supposed to be kind of the dumb, impulsive guy. Yeah. And then you got his dumb, impulsive girlfriend on top of it. And then Blue's supposed to be the one that's supposed to keep everything under check. But that doesn't happen.
This is what's gonna happen. We're going to Houston and we're gonna sell the shit. Because this little $15,000 is not gonna last. Until then, I'm gonna hold on to the blow. Ray, I don't want to hear any more bullshit out of you or her.
So then all three of those characters are just dumb. And then the only character, like I said, that I enjoyed was Bill Paxton's character, because he actually has some character. You know, he's got some charisma and stuff on screen until they throw that element in there that, him and what's her name are involved, and they have a kid together.
Yeah. So Lila. Okay, see, now, you brought up Pluto having a super high IQ and how he's running around with dumb people. And I'm going to say that actually, I think the film is trying to say, I'm not saying they do it well, but I think what they're trying to say is that here's Pluto, he's supposed to be this very smart guy. He's very patient, he's very unemotional, he's very detached from the crimes that he's committing. And they've shown that several times throughout the course of the film, is that he's sociopathic about the whole thing. It's just business to him.
No.
And Billy Bob Thornton, every time that he kills somebody, he's a raging fucking idiot. He's just like flying off the handle. And there's that great scene where they're standing outside the gas station and he's feeding her the apple. And there's that really subtle threat where he cuts a piece of the apple off and he sticks it into his mouth, and then he cuts her off a piece and he has the apple piece on the end of the knife and he puts it to her face.
I wouldn't hurt you for anything in the world, you know that.
I'm glad you didn't kill that man in the car lot.
What do you think we are?
Because she's almost expecting him to have one of those moments where he just stabs her. And there's several times throughout the course of the film where he just slaps the shit out of her because he doesn't like what she said or how she said it or anything like that. But the fascinating thing that I dig about this film is they're driving down the street after they ditch the car that they know has been identified. And they're driving the new black car and they're on their way to Texas to make the deal to sell the cocaine. There is that scene where they get pulled over and Pluto's in the backseat saying,
"We're gonna be cool. We're gonna play it by ear.
We're not gonna kill him unless we have to.
And Billy Bob Thornton's character, Ray, he just can't shut the fuck up. He just lets his mouth run.
We weren't speeding or anything, were we?
No, ma'am. Well, what the fuck did you stop us for then?
And that leads to the cop saying, all right, you need to get out of the car. And the fascinating thing that I find about that scene is that there's Pluto, there's Ray, they've been demonstrated to be very violent, one very systematically, one very emotionally, and the person who kills the cop is Fantasia.
Okay, now ma'am.
She actually walks up behind the cop because the cop doesn't suspect her of being capable of it, and she puts a bullet directly into the back of his head. And it's very matter of fact. It's like when you see that for the first time, you don't expect that. You expect Pluto to stab him with a knife or Ray to pull his gun out and start blazing like you would have seen in like 3,000 Miles to Graceland when Kevin Costner gets pulled over by the cop. It's nothing like that at all. So it kind of proves that Fantasia, you know, they've been portraying her to be like this, you know, she just got mixed in with the wrong crowd. It turns out, no, she's just as shitty as they are. She really did fall in with her element. And the other time that they show that, later in the film, is when Bill Paxton, when Hurricane and Fantasia are sitting in the house and they're waiting for Ray and Pluto to show up. And, you know, he's planning, you know, Dale is planning to arrest everybody in one shot. And that's when the big reveal of, hey, it's your son. Look, this is our baby's birthday cake. I didn't get to celebrate his birthdays with him. She decides that, you know, she's going to go to get her cigarettes. And she goes for her purse. He grabs her purse.
Forgot that thing was even in there, baby. Ray gave me that for protection. I don't even know how it works.
You pull the damn trigger.
We've clearly seen her use it. So yeah, she is a shitty person. And that's that nuance that I'm telling you about. They don't throw it out there, but she knew that gun was in that purse. She knew who Dale was. She knew why he was there. And if she had gotten the opportunity, yeah, she would have put one in the back of his head. Father of her kid or not, she didn't really give a fuck. So at the end, when Fantasia is dead and Pluto is dead and Ray is dead, Dale is wounded. And I've always, like I said, I always just assumed that it meant that, you know, he lived after that, but really what else is there to say? He's not going to have a conversation about all this shit with his recently, you know, motherless son. But he does actually tell the kid, I'm your dad, right before it actually snaps to black. So that's the nuance that I'm talking about. Like I said, they don't spell it out. There's the other scene that I really enjoy in this, and it's when they are at the gas station shop, and the cop come in, and he is talking to the clerk, and Fantasia and Ray are standing over by the microwave waiting for their burritos to be done because they're on the road and they're eating. And there's this whole emotional exchange where Ray is trying to fly under the radar and Fantasia's putting that friendly face and being really sociable and outgoing.
Not planning on drinking that beer and driving, are you?
No, we wouldn't do that. This is for later.
Just kidding.
$7.95, please.
While Ray's trying to, you know, kind of fly below the radar in front of the cop, that leads to, you know, the shooting on the side of the road. I always thought that was a really well done thing. Again, this movie suffers for its lack of budget, but I think that it actually does have a very, you know, a solid script. It could have used one more going over. It could have used a better director. And that's really, I kind of think the stumbling block for this was that it really needed a director with a bit more vision and somebody who paced things a little bit better. But I don't think that it's a bad movie. I think it's a flawed movie, but I don't think it's a bad movie.
It definitely could have benefited from more budget, like I said, better directing. There are some cinematic choices that were just, I didn't care for.
Yeah.
That aside. The other thing, too, is it suffers from a lack of star power. So while Billy Bob Thornton eventually turns into be, a very well-known and A-list,
And Bill
actor,
Paxton.
and Bill Paxton, never really quite made it there, but great supporting guy for sure.
I mean, I honestly,
it doesn't. Hey, let me finish.
Oh,
It doesn't
that's it.
have the star power there to elevate that material to something that would have helped make this a better movie.
See, I'm going to say that I think the reason both of them did this movie, Billy Bob Thornton co-wrote it, so he knew exactly what he was getting into. But I think Bill Paxton agreed to do this movie because he was tired of being the punchline in a lot of films. Because, when you see him in a lot of his 80s and 90s stuff, that's exactly who he is. He didn't really get to do serious dramatic roles like this. So for him, this was an escape from his normal type of role that
I'll
he
agree with
played
that,
in.
but
So,
it still doesn't change the fact that it doesn't have the power to, like I said, to elevate. This.
No, I'm not going to disagree, but I will say Bill Paxton did everything he could. He did elevate the material. Not as high as it could have possibly gone. I could see other actors doing a better job with it, but it was nice to see Bill Paxton actually get a chance to not be Hudson and, Aliens, or, the slimy used car salesman in True Lies, or Mr. Funny Ha Ha, hey, I've got a joke in Predator 2.
But yet that was him through half this movie.
And I think that's
That's
kind
actually him through half this movie. Actually, through 2/3 of this movie. Really, it was until the final act that it actually gets to change gears.
Actually,
and that changed the tone for him, for me as a character. Really was like the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah. See, now I thought the big reveal was when he walks into the restaurant and the two LA cops are there and they're talking shit about, like, he's going to come to Los Angeles and thinks the three of us would be a good team and we can go out and solve crimes and do all that. And he overhears them making fun of him.
Me and him and Macintosh make a hell of a team. Oh, shit. He said he wanted to take a crack at the big time. Jesus, what did you say? I told him it was an interesting idea. That's the funniest thing ever.
But they're not like it's not jabs. They're just like going, this is ridiculous. This guy has no fucking idea what he's really signing on for. He doesn't get the job.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't understand that what he's doing here and breaking up domestic disputes and dealing with the town drunk is not what we're dealing with in Los Angeles when you have people that are getting killed over cash and cocaine that are stuffed in the walls. And so,
but they're right. And really, the only thing that gives him the edge is the fact that he knows his people and it's his talents, it's his home turf, that actually really gives him any type of edge whatsoever. So that they're right in a sense.
In a sense. And the other thing was the wife. Bill Paxton's wife. She only has like one really standout scene in the film. And it's when they're all at their house and they're having the barbecue and they're sitting out and they're drinking beer and drinking whiskey and shooting the shit and blah, blah, blah. And one of them walks into the kitchen to grab another bottle.
I think he looks at y'all like you're some kind of heroes or something.
Well, we're far from that.
You might want to tell him that then, if you know what I mean. I've got a little girl in there who needs her daddy. Dale doesn't know any better. He watches TV. I read nonfiction.
So don't let him do anything fucking stupid and get himself killed. And I always loved that you got so much out of that character in that one tiny 3-minute exchange. And that's the kind of nuance that I'm talking about here. She's not a yokel. Yes, she's got a drawl. Yes, she has a very thick Southern accent, but she's not a dumb hick. And they never play her like she's a dumb hick. And they don't play Bill Paxton. I mean, he's joked about as being, a bit of a hooge.
Oh, he fucking hams it up for him at the very fucking beginning when they first meet. Oh, he hams it up hardcore. So he doesn't do anything to help his cause and his image in front of these cops at all whatsoever.
So,
and that's all on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, that's the nuance that I'm getting at. There's a lot more going on with these characters than just... A lot of movies would have happily taken these exact kind of characters and never let them change. They would have had no arc whatsoever or no depth to them. They would have been one-note characters. This film at least let them explore that there's more to these people than just... He's a sheriff in a small town, and they're LA cops that are out to find a killer.
Yeah, but but that only comes through, their... the twist reveal. Oh, so he was involved with this criminal girl beforehand. They have a kid together, which I still think doesn't really add anything to the story overall. It just doesn't, especially at the end. Whether he lives or dies, I think he dies. So from my perspective, he's dead. So it makes the whole plot twist null and void. It doesn't. Nobody gains or loses anything because even looking from the kid's perspective, okay, she was never going to be a good mother. She was never going to be there for that child.
You're not wrong.
So that doesn't matter. Her dying doesn't matter. Him as a father, he was never around anyway to begin with, and he was never acknowledged as his son to begin with anyway. So him dying has no effect on the child's life one way or the other. So it was a pointless plot twist and plot add. It didn't add anything. So that's the other big reason why this didn't land for me. So for me, it's a first draft script, TV budget, production, star power, but not star power enough to elevate material, poor characters, pointless plot twist. So there's nothing that landed for me on this one. I'm sorry. So that's what I got.
If nothing else, it'll lead to an interesting conversation with someone who hates your taste in films.
Well, you always say that these types of reviews are better reviews. When the ones where we kind of disagree on stuff or or entertaining for our audience. I don't know.
We'll find out. I'm just gonna say So not a recommend for you. This is a movie that I've really liked for a very long time. Again, it's not Tarantino-esque. It is an old school crime film. It's a very believable crime. It's a very believable setup. Some of the characters are really dumb, if you have actually ever known anybody that's committed a crime in your life, you can probably go, yeah, they are normally pretty stupid or pretty emotional. They're not these deep thinkers that they like to think they are, and they sure as hell ain't George Clooney and Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11. But it's a different spin on it, and it's the budding career of Billy Bob Thornton. This is genesis for that. So that's one of the reasons why I find it an interesting film, and I would recommend it, but I'm going to be the first to tell you that it's not for everybody. That's all I got. So Mike, what are we watching next?
Next, we're watching one that I think we'll both enjoy. I think our audience is going to enjoy. I believe it's 1987. I think classic horror. Hellraiser.
Oh,
Clive Barker.
It's 86 or 87. Yeah, Clive Barker. Yep. Yeah.
So when I first saw this movie, I didn't like it. It wasn't until later that I actually started to appreciate it. So we will talk about my appreciation and maybe your appreciation. I don't know.
We got a lot to talk about on this one. So
I'm interested to hear what you say.
So until next time.
It's like a swat a fucking mosquito or something.
Yeah,
you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
I'm selecting Carl Franklin's One False Move as the best film of 1992.